Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, Modern Musings. I am Amber Jones, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Cindy Murray and Kristen Hessler.
Hello. Howdy.
So today we have a fun topic for you. Calling all of you comic book lovers out there, comic book movie lovers. We're talking about the age-old question in comic books. DC versus Marvel. Now it's pretty interesting because it's kind of like we did an episode on Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Yep, we did.
And those fans don't like to associate with each other Star Trek versus Star Wars, although there is such a thing as a fan of both. However, you're either a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan. And I find that very similar when talking to diehard comic book fans. You are either a DC superfan or you are either a Marvel superfan. However, myself, since I'm not like super huge on superhero comic books, other than X-Men, which is Marvel, so I guess I would say that I'm a Marvel fan because X-Men is Marvel. I'm a fan of both. I like Superman just as much as I like Iron Man, so on and so forth. I like both. But what about you ladies? What about you, Kristen? Do you prefer DC or Marvel?
So growing up, I had never heard of the Marvel.
Likewise. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that I never heard of them.
I think I remember the Hulk because there was a TV show with the Hulk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been like relatively DC.
Right. I grew up watching Superman with Christopher Reeves, everybody else in my generation. And then Batman.
Yeah, Tim Burton movies.
Batman, yeah. So to me, those were the superheroes. I also remember when I was maybe in junior high, there was a Spider-Man cartoon. Mm-hmm. And I wondered why...
he wasn't part of the...
he wasn't part of
Justice League.
And it didn't really dawn on me, because when I did find out, Justice League, Wonder Woman's part of all of that, because to me it was really fascinating that I don't remember seeing a lot of Justice League stuff. It was all about the individual superheroes when I was growing up.
Yeah, mainly Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Well, and that was different when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because there was the Justice League. That's always
the cartoon, Saturday cartoon, right?
And so, I guess whenever the Avengers came out, I was like, "Who are these guys?"
Yeah. I had heard of the Avengers, but it wasn't something I read. Mm-hmm. But I grew up knowing Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Knew him
could
help it. So you knew him.
Well, I knew about Captain America, but I think that was the only Avenger that I knew about.
Yeah. I wasn't really familiar with Captain America either. Now, my husband was more familiar with the Marvel stuff, but I was more familiar with
Captain Planet.
Captain Planet. No, but I watched Saturday morning cartoons, and so Justice League. In the 70s, there was the Wonder Woman show with Linda Carter, I think was the actress. I remember watching that. There was Superman, the Christopher Reeves Superman. There was the Batman, the original Batman TV series. Mm-hmm. The and so all of that stuff was very familiar to me. But
I guess the 80s really wasn't about superheroes. Of course there was the Tim Burton Batman and then the Christopher Reeves Superman. But I don't really remember a lot of other superhero-y movies until the Spider-Man movie started coming out in the late 90s.
Oh,
the
and there
Tobey
was
Maguire
the
men's?
X-Men and Saturday
Oh,
morning
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
cartoons.
and
Okay, so
X-Men,
yeah,
so-
X-Men stuff started coming out.
But
in
I
the
didn't
90s
realize it
as
was
well.
Marvel that was owned by Marvel
seemed,
either.
X-Men seemed different.
Well, it
Because
was
it
a
was
separate.
different.
It was,
Yeah, it was a
at that
separate
point it
entity,
was
yeah.
a separate universe or whatever. I
Yeah.
think they've started bringing some of those things into the multiverse or whatever.
Yeah, they started.
But,
it's mainly because Marvel did not have the rights to the X-Men,
right. Okay.
and they didn't have the rights to Spider-Man either until recently.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's why
That makes
all of
sense.
the Spider-Man movies have been separate than the other Marvel movies.
Okay.
Until Tom Holland started playing Spider-Man, so they were able to start bringing him
Into the
and
okay.
that's only when Disney acquired Fox,
Okay.
because Fox had all of the rights to X-Men and Spider-Man.
Disney owns Fox. Wait, what?
Oh, it was Sony. Never mind. Let's scratch that.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Well,
I
let
can't
me
believe Disney
fact-
owns Fox. Because Disney owns ABC.
Okay, so yeah, it's Sony.
Okay, so back up. And,
Okay. So that was only when Disney started acquiring Sony.
Okay.
And Sony owned the rights to Spider-Man and all
Okay.
of the Spider-Man movies. And and then the original maybe Fantastic Four movies. And then also all of the X-Men movies that first started coming out.
Okay.
Disney did not have the rights to them, so they could not put those characters
Okay.
in the Avenger movies
Okay.
just yet until they started acquiring the rights
okay.
to them.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well,
And I want to say, like, there was like this whole thing where in the X-Men First Class movies, the character Quicksilver, who was also in X-Men, he appeared, played by Evan Peters, in it wasn't X-Men First Class, it was X-Men Days of Future Past.
okay.
And so he appeared in the movie, but like it couldn't be the same actor because Quicksilver was also in an Avengers movie, the Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay.
So it couldn't, I believe it couldn't be the same actor.
Interesting.
And then they couldn't say like the same things or look the same.
Weird. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, a lot of that stuff, I didn't know anything about like the Fantastic Four, any of the, I didn't know anything about X-Men from the comics until the Saturday morning cartoon came out. I loved the Saturday morning cartoon. And then, eventually the movies, and I'm really behind on watching those. But
those are probably my favorite. X-Men's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
And I was kind of familiar with the comic books, probably other than Archie comics. Those were the only comics that I read
yeah.
growing up.
And see, I was really familiar with the Superman comics because I had a cousin of my mom's that had a lot of comics, and he passed them all down to us. And I mean, there was a lot of other stuff too, like Richie Rich. I don't know if you remember that one, and some Tales from the Crypt and some of that kind of stuff too. But Superman, there was definitely Superman and Wonder Woman in there, and like I said, I was a big fan of the Justice League from the Saturday morning cartoon, which is, and I watched the original Batman series, that's so campy and silly, but
yeah,
but it was, it was fun. That was kind of the role that superheroes played in our lives in those days. They were good guys. They fought crime and
did good things.
Yeah, and then everything.
They weren't that deep.
They weren't very deep.
No,
and
you don't think of
that took a
Superman being
big
deep.
change. I think Frank Miller was responsible for that big change. My husband introduced me to The Dark Knight graphic novel, like when we were dating, I think, and from there my head was just like spun around backwards because The Dark Knight, I think it was Frank Miller. I'm pretty sure it was Frank Miller. he was an alcoholic. He had this traumatic past, and all the it was a very dark graphic novel about vigilantism, basically. And from there, and then Tim Burton took his spin with it.
And it's pretty dark too.
It is. It's not as dark, I don't think, as the Frank Miller graphic novel, but it is pretty dark. And they've gotten even darker since then. So it's really interesting to me. And then I really wasn't familiar, like I said, with any of the Marvel stuff except for the X-Men when that Saturday morning cartoon came out, and I loved it. And then, all the movies like Iron Man and stuff like that started coming out, and I loved those. And we actually, Kristen and I, about a couple of years ago, just set out. I had not seen all of those. I still haven't seen all of those.
So if it's been a couple of years, you have a lot to catch up on.
Well, no, we watched a lot. I mean, we watched a lot of movies. So I think we watched everything except for, we did not watch any X-Men. We did not watch the Hulk, and we did not watch the Spider-Mans because they weren't fully incorporated into the Marvel stuff. And I had been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Now you can go on Disney Plus and watch it all in order. They have it all laid out in
that
order.
was what we did.
Different orders too. They have
different ways you want to watch.
The order that the movies came out and the chronological by the story.
I think you got all the way up to what's the one that's like the TV show?
Which TV show? There's several now.
No, it's like a show, but she's
WandaVision.
We did not watch WandaVision.
Oh, that one's so... did you watch Loki, though?
No.
We did not watch Loki.
Y'all need to watch it. But Loki's the best one.
But we have...
He's my favorite character.
We have seen Thor, Love and Thunder, and we did watch The Black Widow. And
Black Widow's a good one.
And something else. I don't remember what the other one was. But we haven't seen the Blue Beetle either.
Oh, that's actually DC.
Oh, that's DC. You're right.
But Jason and I just watched Blue Beetle.
We watched all the Marvel stuff, up to, and then we tried to kind of stay up to date, but we didn't watch any of the series.
There are some really good series.
And I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I think I missed the last season. I haven't watched, so. And then last year we started watching all the DC stuff, and we started with the Christopher Reeve, right?
Yep,
that was what we started.
Christopher Reeve, Superman. Yes.
Superman, and then worked. And we didn't go back to the old stuff.
Y'all started like in the late 70s, early 80s, and started working your way.
Yes,
that way
in the order that the movies were released.
See, Jason and I haven't done that, but we have done. Well, we didn't do X-Men. But we did incorporate the Spider-Man. But not the Tobey Maguire, just the Tom Holland Spider-Man that's with the Avengers. Even though there's another Spider-Man
I have seen one of the Tobey Maguire ones. I saw the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Tom Holland is the third Spider-Man. Right. So there's also Andrew Garfield, and there's like a big debate on who's
that one flopped, right?
Yeah, there's a big debate on who's the best Spider-Man. And so I believe it's the third Spider-Man movie, actually incorporates all of the Spider-Man in it. So y'all need to watch that one if you haven't seen it.
Oh.
It has Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in it.
There's another, is it The Flash?
Yes.
That has all the Batman, of the Batmans in it, I think.
I think it's all the Supermen.
Oh, maybe it's... No, they can't do all the Superman.
There's Batmans,
Batmans and Super. Well, it's because he's like going through the multiverse,
right.
All the and there's like all the people that, including Christopher Reeve, AI generated people that played Superman and all the people that played Batman.
Yeah. I actually watched that one with Travis on.
Did you?
One of the cruises. It was on, so we didn't watch the whole thing. We just kind of like stumbled in, and we were like, "What is this movie? It looks interesting." And then it was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm supposed to be watching this right now."
Oh yeah.
We were kind of like in the middle of our marathon. So
Yeah,
we
I was
haven't
trying to figure
finished
out-
because there's so many of them. It's really hard to keep up.
Yeah, and that one was not bad. That one was pretty good. I guess we're talking about like all the people that have played Spider-Man, like all the people that have played Batman.
Oh, right. Yeah. So who is your favorite Batman?
My favorite Batman, I have to go old school with Michael Keaton.
Now, is that because you like the Tim Burton style?
I like the Tim Burton style. Okay. Maybe
just
like
Batman by himself, not
Batman by himself. And this is going to be kind of controversial, but I really liked how Robert Pattinson played Batman.
And you know, that's the one I haven't seen yet. I have not seen that one yet.
Haven't seen that one either.
But Christian Bale's pretty good too. But he's
my favorite. Batman.
I really liked how Robert Pattinson played Batman. The style of the movies, I would have to go with the OG Batman movies.
Well, and see, I actually liked Michael Keaton. When he was Bruce Wayne, he was this upstanding, very, but private and reserved person. Like he was this public face, but he was very private, and he played that part of that character very well. But he also played the Batman very, very well, I thought. Some of the other ones who, like, I hated the Val Kilmer one. To me, he was...
That's my least favorite.
I didn't like him. And
then George Clooney, not that great either.
And I love George Clooney, but I just felt like he was...
That felt like a money grab.
Well, yeah, it was. And I didn't feel like he was okay as Batman, sort of, but I didn't like him as Bruce Wayne.
He was too George Clooney.
Yeah, he was a very George Clooney Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. And so
Yeah, he could have totally thrown in like a Jennifer Lopez in there and like
yeah.
He was very typecast in that.
Now, oh wait, you know what? Another Batman that I liked was Ben Affleck. He was Batman, right?
Yeah, he played Batman, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And
he's been
and
a couple of superheroes.
Yeah, he has. Well, he was also
Daredevil,
and I liked that one too. But I read the graphic novel of that one too, so. But I kind of liked him because he had that Bruce Wayne feel, and he could transition into the Batman fairly well. So I kind of liked him, and he was more modern because obviously the other guys who have played Batman are too old to play Batman now. So I did like that. Superman, on the other hand, I have a hard time with that one because my deepest respects go to Christopher Reeve for kind of he didn't really originate that role because it was one of those serial movies from way back in the day, but when he reprised that role, he really played that part really well. He did the hokey kind of Clark Kent thing very well, and he had the right body figure to be Superman. Now those movies were pretty hokey because that was a different era. I have not seen the Henry Cavill version of Superman. I want to. It's on my list. It's over here. And I love... Huh?
We didn't get that far.
We did not get that far. And I'm still
it's
working
good.
on
it's
this.
Henry Cavill,
I know. I love Henry Cavill. So
it's good.
So I'm thinking he looks like He is, of all the people who have played Superman, he and Christopher Reeves have the look. They look like this hometown country Kansas boy.
Have you ever seen Smallville?
I have not seen Smallville.
Tom Welling. He has like the look of young Superman. I would have to say he's my favorite Superman just because that was like my childhood, like it came out when we were like seniors, seniors in high school. So we kind of grew up with him.
So what do you think about Aquaman?
Well, it's Jason Momoa, and that's the only thing I can say about that. I think he
Typecast.
Yeah, right. I think he is good in the movies, but I'm just not a fan of the movies.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way.
It was kind of boring.
Yeah, it was
Like
it
the
was
movie
not,
is, yeah, it was boring.
And
Like
I-
they could have done something better with that.
right, but he was fun to watch.
I mean, it's
Um,
Jason Momoa without a
but-
shirt on and
but then-
wet.
But then I look, back at the Justice League. You're gonna make me laugh. Justice League cartoons, and to me, Aquaman was the least powerful of the Super Friends.
Didn't he have like a different costume? Too?
Oh, yes, he wore-
It was
looked
he
really
had a-
yellow and green.
He had an
and-
orange scale kind of thing, and
Oh, it was
yeah,
orange too. Okay.
yeah, and he was blonde. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
very
not
different. Very different.
I always
Not
see
very
Raj from Big Bang Theory dressed like, and he's mad he gets to be Aquaman. Like he's really not like all excited to be that character. But yeah, I guess they kind of like brought the sexy back for Jason Momoa to be
Mm-hmm.
that character, because otherwise maybe the movie wouldn't have been so great.
Right? Maybe
'Cause
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
people
know.
aren't as passionate about Aquaman. I don't know. Like I enjoyed the movie because it had Jason Momoa in it. But I mean,
There really wasn't anything else.
if you've seen the other
the
movies that
movie.
he's been in, he's kind of like stuck in a role
Yeah, he
of
is.
playing
He's definitely
the same type of
typecast. Yeah.
character like he played on Stargate Atlantis. Like that's literally all he
He's
is.
he's the tough
that
guy
character.
who looks hot
With a bad attitude.
with a bad attitude. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean he played that part well, if that's what they were trying to portray. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Wonder Woman.
Those were really great movies.
Those I think
like
are my
Gal
favorite.
Gadot, really great actress.
Yeah. I think those are my favorite of the DC movies.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that those were the best made of the DC movies. Honestly,
Yes, she is stunningly beautiful also. And she is exactly what I would picture Wonder Woman to be.
Mhm.
Just tall and beautiful and strong and
Graceful.
Yeah.
graceful and yes, and
and
her
oddly enough,
her accent plays into that part
Mhm.
really well because in the past they've had like I said, Linda Carter played, she had an American accent or what,
Yeah.
so,
yeah, those were great. And Chris Pine as her love interest.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with Chris Pine.
yeah.
Honestly, like every movie that he does, I love. And I think that's one problem with the Marvel universe is that they haven't had. I mean, I get Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's pretty
Mhm.
standout, and they finally gave her own movie, but they haven't had like this really breakout female
Right.
superhero.
Right. She's the only one, really. Yeah.
And for the longest time, Black Widow was kind of like a background character.
Mhm.
She was just a helper.
yeah.
And the same with Wanda until they gave her own TV show. They didn't give her her own movie like they should have, but they gave her own TV show. And that's that's a problem I do have with Marvel is that they finally gave they finally had a female superhero movie in the form of Captain Marvel, but
Yes.
it took forever.
And a lot of people balk at I've heard a lot of criticism for Captain Marvel being a female. I have.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, okay. I'm not sure.
Well, I think I believe in the comic books she was female.
Right. But I don't think they like that. I don't know. I'm not
People
sure.
people don't, and that's the problem. Also, is if you look how the women are dressed in the comic books,
Hmm.
it's obviously like
They're just eye candy.
yeah, that's it. Like it's obviously like up until recently, women in superhero nerddom have just been eye candy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And like the women's costumes have been eye candy. Like look at Wonder Woman's costume, a little short skirt, her boobs showing.
Yeah.
That's how it. And then Black Widow's costume, she's got like this skin tight
Yep.
thing showing everything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of the people who write the comic books are dudes.
Well,
Yeah.
and historically, most of the people who read comic books
Are dudes.
are males. So
Were.
yeah.
Yep.
What do you think of the Suicide Squad?
That's interesting because like you know they're all villains
Yes.
doing the hero. They're
Yes.
forced into these heroic roles.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like it. I mean, I know the movies got bad rep anyway, but
I think they were hilarious.
I kind of liked them. Like I liked it. I
like that idea though, like
the idea of
the opposites kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like I like the Descendants from Disney
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
yeah, like the bad
storyline.
guys being good,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
the anti-heroes.
What about Joker? We saw that recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Which portrayal of Joker?
So the
No,
Joker,
Joker.
Let's talk about the one that was in the Suicide Squad. Ugh, with
Oh,
Jared
I did
Leto.
not.
I don't know
like-
why Jared Leto.
That was
even
horrible.
like
It wasn't even
poor
like
guy.
they could have picked someone else. It didn't have to be Jared Leto
Right.
to ruin that character. Like he didn't do it. It was the way they portrayed him.
Yeah, the way they wrote him.
Yeah.
His characterization was just weird. He was like, I don't know, like this weird
Like, super
gangster
crazy.
guy, but he was also off his rocker, which I mean, he's the
Well,
Joker. He's
that's the
supposed
Joker.
to be.
Yeah.
But he was like a younger, more hip, and a little bit more volatile
Yeah.
Joker. Just more like a street hood guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
see, yeah, the Joker has been portrayed so many different ways.
Right.
Mhm. So,
So it's like,
yeah, I
which
wanted
one?
to throw that one out there because he was probably my least favorite, but he worked good with Margot Robbie's
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn because she was young and spunky, so they looked like they belonged together, like they would have dated in that universe. So, I mean, it would be weird to put that Harley Quinn by Margot Robbie with like what's the original one? What's his name? Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Right? That would be a weird mix up, right?
Right.
To the age difference.
Right.
Wouldn't
Right.
wouldn't tell like a story that's believable, you know?
Right.
So okay, I'll move on from Jared Leto. Let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix. That movie does not need to be a part of the whole DC story.
Oh yeah, because
That
it's a totally
one
They
different.
don't
itself-
need to.
That
is its own
movie by
story.
itself, like you wouldn't even have to tell me about Batman or anything. Like his character was stand alone, and that movie,
Right.
just thinking about it, gives me chills.
Yes.
That movie
It-
was so
it's-
good.
That movie was
and
more
so,
a movie about mental health issues.
Yeah,
It really was. It was
yeah,
about mental
and
health
how it can go
and
the
how-
wrong way,
and how society treats people. It
Yeah.
was more about that than it was about some DC comic character.
yeah,
I really believe that.
Yeah, that movie, like the whole time I was watching it, though, I was also like, I can't believe I'm watching this. I mean, that scene was gruesome, and I won't explain it. It was just there was like some scenes that were very gruesome, and I was just like, wow, what does TV come to, or movies?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
really like shocked, but it was so good. It was a moving movie.
Yes, I think so
I
too.
heard they
Yeah.
may be coming out with another one.
Oh, really? Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I
And
think
I,
they are.
I have to contrast it with the Cesar Romero Joker that was on the original Batman TV series, because he was I think closer to the Jack
Mm-hmm.
Nicholson.
A little cheesy.
Yeah, kind of cheesy and that kind of big smile and I don't know. He was funny, but he was evil.
Mhm.
So, but I like the Jack Nicholson
Yeah.
character. He's my favorite.
Okay. So, what's his name?
Heath Ledger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger.
He's probably my favorite, although I do love
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
I feel like
But that movie
his
killed him.
role- Yeah. I think his role was important in allowing us to accept like that there's different ways to portray the character, because he was really like he took the character on the next
a
different way, and it was very extreme and dark. You know, that first round with him, you know, and literally like, why so serious? Like, why not? You know, why does it have to be funny and silly? Like, why not take it serious and make it scary too? Because to me, I feel like the superheroes make it like on the cartoons and stuff, they just make it like, oh, here, I'm gonna punch you guys, and like I'm gonna hit you, and you're gonna go kapow and fly through a wall, and
Right.
oh, it's all over, and holy crap, so Batman, you know, it's silly. But
Yeah.
like the whole point of having a villain or supervillain is that they're terrifying. Like some of these DC villains are terrifying, like Darkseid and
Yeah, there's not really. I haven't seen really truly terrifying villains in the Marvel universe.
Well, except for
Thanos.
Thanos.
Yeah, but he
Sorry.
wasn't terrifying. Yeah, he had like all these minions doing his work, but once you like got face to face with him, he wasn't that terrifying.
Well, except that he wanted to end everything.
Well, yeah, he did want to end everything, but he didn't do it in a terrifying way.
It just happened.
Wow.
Yeah, unlike some of these
Like
DC
Scarecrow.
villains. Yeah, like they have been, especially the Batman villains have been pretty
Mm-hmm.
creepified.
Creepy. Yeah, they are creepy. That maybe that's
Or
a
like
better way to.
Superman, like the Christopher Reeve General Zod and that beard. That was creepy when I was a kid. I'm sorry, but I still remember that, watching it as a kid, and I'm like, oh my god, that guy is creepy. I don't like him. I'm not gonna watch this
okay,
anymore.
we're gonna talk about silly villains. Okay, I always liked Lex Luthor, but watching him again as an adult, and I was like, why is he so obsessed with real estate? Like every movie, he was like,
Because he was trying to get rich on real estate.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
Conning people.
Yeah, he was a con artist. Like he was the super villain.
Like the different actors that
A
played
real
him
estate
too.
villain.
I never could figure out why he always had stupid
And he had really
sidekicks.
stupid sidekicks.
If you were that smart and conniving, why would you have stupid
But
sidekicks?
that's the point, is he really wasn't that smart, because he was surrounded by a bunch of dumb people.
I want to say
Maybe,
Lex
yeah.
Luthor was portrayed the best on Smallville, because Michael
Yes.
Rosenbaum really took that character and made him a villain. Unlike some of these other movies, I mean, like Kevin Spacey was very comical, Jesse Eisenberg was very comical, but like and Gene Hackman was just, Gene Hackman, very serious. But like
comical.
yeah,
Gene
comical,
Hackman,
yeah.
He was comical.
But
yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum was not comical in Smallville. Gosh, I just love that.
I need to go and watch
portrayal
that.
of Superman. Really,
I need to go watch that series.
I really,
I'm looking for stuff to binge, so that'll be a
and
good one too.
Gotham, the
I've not
origin,
seen that one either.
the origin Batman series. That one is good too. I really enjoy that one a lot because it has Ben McKenzie, the guy from the OC, in it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Michael Rosenbaum was in one of mine and Kristen's favorite movies, Sorority Girls.
Isn't Green Arrow also part of DC?
Yeah, Green
Yes.
Arrow is,
I
yes.
started
I
that
started
TV
watching
show.
that
Oh,
series,
that's
and I
a
never
good
finished that one.
TV show too.
Yeah.
That one's very serious as well. Like there's not a lot of comical, like I want to say that, like, as far as DC is concerned, their TV shows have it over their movies.
Okay.
For sure. And then I wasn't a fan of the Flash movie, but the TV show is way better. And Legends of Tomorrow.
What's that one?
Like, if you're gonna binge the Arrowverse, which is what it's called. Like, all of the CW DC TV shows is called the Arrowverse. Then, of course, you have to start with Arrow, and then do the Flash, and then do Legends of Tomorrow, and it's basically like it's kind of like a Suicide Squad type thing.
Okay.
All of the villains from the Flash and Arrow are kind of thrown together in this like a Doctor Who type Suicide Squad type thing where they have to go into different time periods and save people, different dimensions, and save people.
Okay.
Did you watch like the Justice League Unlimited or any of those animated series?
No, I'm really not a huge fan of. Y'all know I'm not really a huge fan of animation stuff. No, I have not.
They were pretty good. I saw bits and pieces, like an episode here and there. I didn't actually get to watch like every single episode because I wasn't in control of the TV, but I would sit down and watch them, and I think that they introduced all of the villains really well, and like how the villains came to be. For me, like the hardest thing, like we were like talking about like all these like superheroes and stuff, is I want to read like the comic books, but there's like
so many of them.
So many.
Oh, yeah.
And like
and you'd
even
have to
you're
start at the
talking
beginning,
about like
probably.
Justice League, there's like, if you just go look up Justice League, there's like 1,000 movies and 1,000 animated series, and there's
and
like
characters
all these
like new Justice League, old
comic
Justice
books.
League. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, where do you start? Like,
Yeah, if you're gonna make a movie about it, where do you start? What kind of like
That was
Avengers?
That was the
Where would you
problem
start?
that we had when we were coming up with our list of which ones to watch, both with the DC and the Marvel stuff, and that was why we decided to eliminate the Spider-Man, because the first sets of Spider-Man weren't tied into the Marvel universe, and we eliminated the Hulk because, you know, we kind of knew the Hulk story anyway, and you know, some of the early Hulk stuff was not tied into the Avengers and stuff, so we just kind of started. I don't remember what we started with. Did we start with Iron Man?
yeah, we started with Iron Man.
Yeah,
because that's
and
kind of
went from
when
there.
they revived that whole, and
Yeah.
we're making like movies meant to be watched together in order.
Right, and then
Yeah, they were all like a canon verse.
Mhm.
yes, and same thing with when we started with the DC, we decided to start with the Christopher Reeves Superman because that's the one that most people are, you know, pretty familiar with. So, and we just started there, but we eliminated a lot of stuff that we decided, you know, we could come back and watch it later. It's just there's only so many you can watch, you know.
Well, yeah, if you're definitely wanting to get back into DC, I would say, like what Kristen's doing, watch Arrow.
Mhm.
That's kind of what got me more into DC was Arrow.
Mhm.
And it's probably the best one. Although I do really like Legends of Tomorrow also.
Yeah, they'll all be on my list. That, you know, I'm
not
always
a
looking for
huge
stuff
fan
to
of
stream.
Supergirl.
I wasn't a fan of those, and we didn't even do those movies. We eliminated those.
I loved that Supergirl movie that came out
Like
along
during
with
the Christopher Reeves
Mhm.
period,
I
yeah.
loved that one.
Oh, I have seen that one.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, that one was a pretty good movie.
that's probably the only one I've seen. So, yeah,
Well, the TV show is not that great.
okay.
I mean, I'm not a fan of it. It's very hokey. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all hokey, but it's not dark like Arrow, and I prefer dark humor.
I don't necessarily have, you know, prefer dark humor or whatever, but I want it to be more realistic. I mean, obviously there's only so much realism you can get with superheroes, but I mean, like The Dark Knight, he's somewhat realistic. It is plausible that a super rich guy could buy all this technology and be a vigilante.
Yeah.
So I want at least some, I want the villains to be not just some hokey guy printing fake dollars or whatever.
But that was like a very villainous thing to do.
Well, I know, but I want them to be, dangerous, and so I guess
hazard to society.
a hazard to society. Somebody
would
worthy of needing
Arrow.
a superhero to
You would
take him
like
out.
Arrow. Like, it's definitely real, like he's another kind of Batman-y type
Yeah.
person.
Well, I started.
And
I
he had,
started
but he
watching
has,
that
like,
one.
he's an
Is like
anti-hero
a
for
rich
sure.
Kid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. He's a rich kid.
Yeah,
He's
I
an
started watching that
anti-hero.
one.
Like, he got into it as revenge.
Yeah.
He has a revenge list, and like the whole first season is
don't
him
give
being
away
dark.
things
It's
to
like
people.
just very dark.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
I started watching the first episode of that, and then I don't remember why I turned it off or paused it, and then I just never went back to it. So it's still on my wish list. There's so many things, and they keep making movies faster than I can watch everything. So
and TV shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's all these new TV shows coming out, and
like
yeah.
I don't know, because there's still WandaVision, there's Loki, I've got to finish the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's just so many things that I haven't caught up with. So, but yeah. So who is the most unrealistic superhero?
Most unrealistic.
Yeah, like couldn't possibly be somebody like that.
well, I mean, there's like other dimensions and other worlds and alien worlds, and so that's really hard. I want to say Green Lantern, but that's just because I didn't like the movie. Gosh. And see, like, there's an explanation for all the X-Men because they're human mutations.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Here's my thing that always just doesn't ever make sense to me. Superman comes from Kryptonite planet.
I know what you're gonna ask. Yes.
Everybody probably asks this. If you're not asking it, you're not thinking hard enough. You're not looking for the loopholes.
Right.
Right? So he comes to Earth. He's super
First
strong.
off, he's on Krypton. He is a normal person.
Normal person, no
And
problems.
He's on a planet
That's
made of kryptonite.
made of crystals. Like, they
Right.
don't even have carpet, okay?
Right. And
It's
and
just crystals. It looks
right.
really
It's
cold.
kryptonite, right?
Oh, and they're crashing into a sun, but it doesn't get hot. Okay, but we'll skip over
that.
all of
Yeah.
that, okay?
Suspension of disbelief.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm suspending it as much as I can.
Right.
But so he crashes onto Earth, right? And he's all like strong and stuff. Yeah, this one tiny little rock, little piece
Of a meteor.
that just
Yes.
keeps turning up. People keep finding it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna hold this in front of you," and suddenly you're like,
He's weak.
incapacitated, and he's weak.
He's incapacitated. Yes. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
well, that's like his normal planet, right?
right, it's
Yeah.
his normal planet.
but
so,
he's buckling over like in pain.
yes.
Maybe it's a reaction with Earth's gravity.
They've
Yeah,
never I don't think
but
they've
to
ever
me,
explained that.
I
No,
don't
they
feel
didn't.
like
One little piece.
he is really all that super. It's just that Earth and him are like
Different.
taking advantage of each other
Well,
to defy gravity, and then he goes around Earth really fast and makes time go backwards.
right, because he
No.
made the Earth spin backwards.
Whatever. That
but-
doesn't make things
that-
happen. Like, I don't
backwards,
start
yeah.
walking backwards.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
Flash is kind of the same way because he can speed really fast and make time go backwards, and that's kind of unrealistic as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like.
But I had
quantum
the same
physicist.
question. Superman is my
I mean,
most unrealistic
Batman
superhero.
like flies, sort of.
With mechanical
I know,
aids.
but people hate on Batman because he doesn't really fly. But I'm like, but look at all that he does, and he is not Superman.
Right.
He does it
He's
normal
not a-
gravity.
Yes. And Superman, like you said, he has this abnormal reaction to the kryptonite from his own planet. If kryptonite worked that way, it wouldn't incapacitate him. It would just make him normal, not incapacitated. Because on Krypton, he would have been normal.
Right.
So that's the weird thing to me. And he also, I think, is very unrealistic because he's so goody two shoes.
Superman, yeah.
Superman is. He is. I don't know. I mean, even not only
His
as
moral
Clark
compass
Kent,
is up his butt.
right? He is. He's
Yeah.
like goody two shoes. It's like,
Yeah.
what person
Oh,
ever?
and that's the thing about Superman that's interesting is he's really klutzy and shy, and I'm
Clark
talking
Kent is. Yes.
Clark Kent, like Christopher Reeves, like he's a dork.
Right.
And then as soon as he's got his cape on, he's like,
Well, he
Oh,
does it on purpose.
suave.
He's acting to be dorky, so
"But
that
why?
people
To
won't.
what end? So people don't recognize him when he has glasses on.
I know,
That's
that was the other thing.
ridiculous.
How
That
did
is very unrealistic
It's like-
because his glasses suddenly come off and he's like the hottest guy in the world,
Yeah.
and then the glasses come on and he's the
He's
dorkiest,
the dorkiest guy in the world, and nobody
But
recognizes
nobody
that he's the
recognizes
same
that
And
guy.
he
I
has,
really
like,
didn't
muscles
like
under his-
that about him and Lois Lane was that she was so blind to realize that Clark Kent, who was like basically her BFF, is not the same man that she's in love with.
Right.
Because if you watch all of the movies, like Clark is like her best friend. She tells him
Well,
everything.
I,
Sort of. I
I think she uses him,
Oh, she does.
but I don't think he's her best friend. He's just
Right.
her lap dog.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. That always irked me about that. So, my favorite unsuper hero is Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy because there is absolutely nothing special about him at all.
Mm-hmm.
He is just a normal guy.
Yeah.
With a good heart.
Yeah.
And I think of all
And-
of the
and-
characters,
and the
of all
love of
the
80s
things all the-
music.
All
Yes.
the things that happened to him, he still has a good heart.
Yes,
he was
and
taken
I
away from
think
his
that's
family.
what makes him so super because he does amazing things just being a normal good person.
Right.
And to me, like,
And
he's the best superhero.
He's capable of getting other people to do good things too.
Mhm.
Like he influences them to become
Yeah.
better people
Yeah.
also. All of them. What's her name? Nebula
Mm-hmm.
and
Gamora.
But
Gamora?
it's him that brought them all together,
He
Yeah.
did,
and
yeah.
made them the way that
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
And that's
Those are
super-
probably some of my favorite superhero movies.
Yeah.
All the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that last one. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that was a
That was a
tearjerker.
heartbreaker.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
man.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
multiple levels.
On multiple
and Chris
levels.
Pratt is like,
Oh,
put him and Henry Cavill in a room, and I'm like, hello. Why don't we do like a DC and Marvel mix up?
Oh no! Oh no!
That would never happen. No.
No, it should.
You never know unless Disney buys DC.
Right.
Then it'll happen.
No. All right. So, did anybody else have an answer to her question?
Well, I answered my
Oh, the
answer to
most
that question.
unrealistic one? Is that what the question we're on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's
Because
the
we went from unrealistic to like the most realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I think y'all hit the nail on the head on Superman. Honestly, that's very unrealistic. And then, I mean, I guess Batman is more realistic, maybe. But I mean, he's kind of the same way. Like he has the whole billionaire playboy thing going
Mhm.
on, by day and then vigilante by night.
But at least he wears a mask and nobody can tell.
That's true. Superman does not wear a mask.
Yeah. So nobody can tell that that's who he is.
Yeah.
Now, Diana Prince and Wonder Woman, same thing.
Yeah,
she
same
puts
scenario.
on glasses. People think she's just this archaeologist or whatever she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Definitely same scenario right there.
Art historian or
art
something
historian.
like that.
I can't remember what she is.
She does like preservation.
But yeah, at that I thought that was very interesting that they portray that in that way.
Maybe on like the and then I don't know, maybe on the Marvel side, unrealistic might be Captain America because he, survived Frozen all of those years, and then, all of a sudden he's back and he's Captain America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he has a moral compass like Superman too.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that's very unrealistic. Like, hey, we found this frozen guy in the ocean. Let's revive him.
Right.
And he's, back. I mean, I know he had like a super juice pumped into him, but it wasn't he could still age, as they proved in the last Avengers movie, that he could still age like a normal person. So I guess, frozen in time or whatever. But still, that's unrealistic, honestly, because if, he could die like a normal person and age like a normal person, then being frozen to death, he would have died. Am I wrong?
I don't know, because the freezing would have
how
stopped
did he
his
get pumped up
cells.
so fast? Like they inject him with juice, and all of a sudden he's like,
Yeah, then they never say how
all
he
muscular and
Yeah,
he
they
knows
never
how to use those muscles.
Yeah,
like,
they never said how any of that was even possible.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like another, that's pretty unrealistic as well. And then Bucky, his friend, Bucky
yeah.
somehow lived and didn't age all of those years either. Like they froze him and unfroze him and froze him and unfroze him, so he would be the same age magically when he shows back up in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And he's mad.
Yeah. That's pretty unrealistic.
Yeah. I agree there.
I mean, there is a degree of unrealism in all of that, but that itself is pretty unrealistic.
Who's the most realistic of the Marvels?
The most realistic would probably be in Marvel. It would probably be, what is his name? Hawkeye. I mean, all he does is shoot arrows.
Yeah.
He's a
Okay.
good
Yeah.
He's a good archer.
You know, they've never. Being unfamiliar with the Marvel universe, I was really disappointed that they never addressed his story.
His role. Like, why is he's friends with Black Widow. That's it.
That's all we know. Yeah, we don't.
And
know
they
any
went to
of his-
Budapest together.
Yeah.
They haven't really made his story.
No.
Well, his is more realistic than Black Widow. I mean, Black Widow is pretty realistic as well, growing up in Russia and Russian spy.
Right.
And there is proof that has happened and that they have done that to kids.
Yeah.
So hers is pretty realistic as well, but he's just like an American man who is really good at shooting the bow and arrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to go a different direction. And Thor, to me, seems more realistic because he is a god.
Okay.
So he actually, is born with his powers. It's normal.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, realistic with powers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a
So-
god. Yeah.
And
Makes
he's
sense.
not like some rando alien that just shows up and is like, I'm going to help Earth.
Right. Right.
'Cause,
Yeah.
who cares about us? Like, there's a whole galaxy of
Right. Right.
Yeah, he
aliens
shows
out
up
there
because
that
he's
care
exiled
about
there.
Earth. Like, I don't understand why Thanos wants to come to our planet and
Get
screw
rid
it
of
over.
Earth, yeah.
Right. Like, there's the whole galaxy apparently of planets, and you know.
Well, he wasn't. I don't think
No,
he was
he got-
coming. He
it
wasn't
wasn't
trying to
specifically
change
the
the whole universe.
I know,
yeah,
the whole
he wanted
universe.
the whole universe. Like,
But
he
why
didn't-
make like us the place where you plant the seed to do that?
Oh, you're thinking of a different one. You're thinking of what's his name's dad? Chris Pratt's dad. He's the one who planted the seed
Well,
to destroy
no, I
Earth.
don't mean like the seed, but
Oh,
no, I'm just saying like he was trying to get like the little gauntlet and get all the stones in the gauntlet.
well, it's
Right,
because
but that didn't have anything to do with coming to Earth. He was just trying to do it so he could rebuild his world that got destroyed or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like I don't know.
no, I just think that he hated like war and famine and stuff, and he thought that if
Oh yeah,
everybody had
That was
half
it.
of its
That's right.
population, that they would
Yeah.
be thriving.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
half of the population of everywhere.
Yeah.
all the worlds.
yeah,
right.
but
So I mean, he really
it's
kind
a
of had
big galaxy.
no.
So.
He really kind of had like a cause behind all of his
That's funny. That's funny
Craziness,
that
like
you
a-
say that because
because he was against like poverty and stuff.
so that is a
Very
theme,
socialist.
for the Avengers, which is owned by Disney. Disney also owns ABC, which hosts General Hospital.
Mhm.
Here's my weird tie-in here. General Hospital had a storyline where one of the Cassadines had this belief that if he released this virus to the world, a very small portion of the world, like a fourth of the portion or half of the world or whatever, would die, and it would make the world a better place because there would be no more famine. It would wipe out all the weak people. It would change the economies, and the world, the earth itself would start to recover from the damage that we've caused and all this stuff. So that's such a weird thing that two different shows, movies, whatever,
Trying to do the same thing.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And over here, Lex Luthor is just trying to get some property.
He's trying to
Can make
he's
a
trying to sell
utopia.
California so
Yeah.
that it can fall off into the ocean or whatever. No, he's selling property on the other side of the fault line so he can blow up California
dam,
and
yeah.
then it'll
Be an island, a
it-
utopia. Yeah, he was trying to make like a utopia.
well, it would be beachfront property by
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not just buy the beachfront property, dude?
He was living in a sewer.
Well, this is true. He was. With a girl who wears wigs. Yes. Okay.
Kristen, what are we talking about next week?
Dream interpretation.
Woo!
Okay.
I have some for you. I have questions for you.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Come with your questions and leave them on our blog chat or on Modern Musings chat on Facebook.
MMC chat.
Yeah, and we'll talk about dream interpretations and tell us your wildest dream.
My headphones fell off the back of my head. Sorry.
Yes.
You're gonna
You're
tell
a
us our
mess.
wildest dreams.
Yes,
wildest
tell
dream.
us your wildest dream.
I was like, did I just hear that?
Okay, tell us
Oh
your
my gosh, this is gonna be like a funny, like startup for that podcast.
tell us your weirdest dreams.
There we go.
Tell
Keep
me
it
your
clean. This is a
wildest-
family show.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me your
family show.
wildest dream, and I'll look it up in my dictionary.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Bye.